It started with something small, as these things often do. The big 618 shopping festival was here, a time of discounts and manufactured excitement. I found a nice little coffee machine online, from a brand that seemed promising. It wasn't a luxury item, just a simple pleasure for the home. I clicked buy, paid the money, and waited for my package to arrive. A week passed, then two. Nothing. When I finally checked, the online store was gone. Vanished. The company, I learned, had gone bankrupt right after the sale. My money was lost, and so was my simple wish for a new coffee machine. It was a small annoyance, sure, but it felt like a sign of the times. This isn't just about one failed purchase. It's a story many of us are living in Shanghai today. You see these small cracks appearing everywhere. The restaurant you loved suddenly closes down. The big company your friend worked for starts laying people off, cutting their paychecks in half. You hear whispers of factories struggling, of orders drying up. It feels like the ground beneath our feet is shifting. The solid, reliable world we thought we were building is becoming less certain. We are all holding on to our wallets a little tighter, wondering if the next promise we believe in will also break. The city still looks as glamorous as ever from a distance. The skyscrapers pierce the clouds, and the neon lights paint the night sky with dreams of success. But when you live here, you start to feel the disconnect. You see the polished advertisements and hear the grand speeches about economic progress, but your own life tells a different story. It's a story of rising expenses and shrinking opportunities. It's the worry that creeps in when you look at your bank account after paying rent. It's the feeling that you are running faster and faster just to stay in the same place, and sometimes you still fall behind. My little coffee machine story is just a drop in a very large ocean. It represents a loss of trust, a feeling that the system isn't working for ordinary people anymore. We were told that if we worked hard, we could build a comfortable life. We could afford small luxuries, save for the future, and provide for our families. But for many, that promise now feels hollow. The rules of the game seem to have changed without anyone telling us. We are left trying to make sense of it all, wondering what happened to the bright future we were all working towards. Shanghai has always been a city of contrasts, but today, it feels like two separate universes existing side by side. In one world, you have neighborhoods like Huahai, where mansions sell for tens of millions. Here, luxury cars glide silently down pristine, tree-lined streets. The storefronts gleam with names like Hermes and Louis Vuitton. People stroll with an air of effortless wealth, their lives seemingly untouched by the struggles that weigh on the rest of us. It's a world of private clubs, expensive brunches, and a future that looks secure and bright. This is the Shanghai you see in magazines, the magnet that draws people from all over the world. But just a wall away, sometimes literally, you find the other Shanghai. You find the urban villages, the crowded lanes of Luzha, where delivery drivers and construction workers live. Here, rooms are small, rent is high for what you get, and life is a daily grind. The streets are a chaotic symphony of electric scooters, noodle stalls, and hanging laundry. People work from dawn until late at night, their faces etched with fatigue. They are the invisible engine that keeps the glamorous city running, yet they live in its shadows. They deliver the meals, clean the offices, and build the very skyscrapers they could never dream of living in. The divide isn't just about money, it's about possibility. For someone living in a wealthy enclave, their children go to the best schools, and their future is a landscape of open doors. For an office worker, even one with a decent salary, the dream of owning a home in the city is slipping away. An average professional might need to work for 100 years to afford an apartment in an upscale district. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. It creates a feeling that no matter how hard you work, you can never cross over from one world to the other. This division is something you see every single day. You can be walking down a street filled with chic cafes and designer boutiques, and then turn a corner and find yourself in a narrow alley where families of 3 share a single room. It makes you question what the city is really about. Is it a place of opportunity for all, or is it a machine designed to benefit a select few? The gleaming towers cast long shadows, and more people are finding themselves living in those shadows, watching the other world from a distance, knowing they may never be a part of it. So how did we get here? How did this gap grow so wide? It's not one single thing, but a combination of powerful forces squeezing the life out of the middle. A big part of the problem comes from the very structure of our economy. For years, local governments have relied heavily on selling land to developers at incredibly high prices to fill their budgets. This has driven property prices into the stratosphere, creating a housing market that is disconnected from the reality of people's incomes. Your salary might be decent, but it's no match for a mortgage that costs more than you earn in a month. At the same time, the engines of employment are sputtering. Small businesses, the backbone of any healthy city, are struggling to survive. The rent for a small shop or restaurant is astronomical. Add to that the rising costs of supplies and labor, and many owners find themselves working day and night just to break even. We see it all the time. A new cafe opens with hopeful owners, only to be replaced by a for rent sign 6 months later. My bankrupt coffee machine company is a perfect example. These businesses are not just failing, they are taking people's jobs and savings down with them. It's not just the small guys who are in trouble. Even the big, powerful corporations are feeling the pressure. We used to think a job at a major tech or finance company was a golden ticket. Now, those same companies are laying off thousands of employees. Those who keep their jobs are seeing their bonuses disappear and their salaries cut. The promise of a stable, high-paying career is fading. Young people who graduated with top degrees now find themselves in a brutal job market, competing for fewer and fewer positions that pay less and less. The city has become a meat grinder, chewing up talent and ambition. This economic squeeze creates a sense of hopelessness. It feels like the system is rigged. You work hard, you follow the rules, but the goalposts keep moving further away. The dream of buying a home, starting a family, and building a secure future in Shanghai seems more impossible with each passing day. It's not about a lack of effort. People are working harder than ever, but they are trapped between the crushing weight of high living costs and the shrinking reality of their paychecks. It's a slow-motion crisis that is draining the energy and optimism from an entire generation. For the average family in Shanghai, life has become a difficult balancing act. It's a constant, quiet struggle played out in grocery store aisles and at the kitchen table when the bills are due. The most crushing burden is, without a doubt, housing. I have a friend who bought an apartment a few years ago when the market was hot. Now his monthly mortgage payment is over $7,000. At the same time, his company cut his annual bonus, which he was counting on to make ends meet. He told me that even if he sold his apartment today, after all the fees and the falling prices, he would still lose over $1 million. He feels trapped, suffocated by the very home that was supposed to be his greatest achievement. This isn't an isolated story. The middle class is facing what some call a wealth cliff. Their savings are tied up in a falling stock market, their salaries are stagnant or declining, and their biggest asset, their home, is now a source of massive debt and anxiety. Every day, the news reports that property prices are dropping again. Foreclosed homes, some of them once considered luxury properties, are being sold at huge discounts. But for those who bought at the peak, there is no escape. They are locked into huge monthly payments for an asset that is worth less and less. On top of this, the cost of everything else keeps creeping up. Just to live a basic life in Shanghai requires a significant amount of money. Rent for a small apartment, even far from the city center, can easily cost a fortune. Then you have utilities, transportation, and food. Just feeding yourself with simple meals costs around 100 yen a day. For a young person starting out whose basic salary might only be 2,500 yen a month, it's an impossible equation. They rely on commissions and bonuses, but in this economy, those are the first things to disappear. The financial pressure is immense and constant. This daily financial strain changes you. It forces you to make difficult choices. Do you buy fresh fruit for your child, or do you put that money towards the electricity bill? Do you meet friends for dinner, or do you stay home to save money? These are the small, invisible sacrifices that millions of people are making every day. The city's glitter and glamour feel like a cruel joke when you are worried about making it to the end of the month. It's a heavy, unseen burden that is slowly wearing people down, replacing their dreams with a constant, low-level anxiety about survival. You can see the story of Shanghai's economic troubles written in the shopping bags of its people. The change is dramatic. Just a couple of years ago, the luxury stores on Nanjing Road were packed. Getting a new handbag from Chanel or a watch from Rolex was a status symbol, a sign that you had made it. People would line up for hours for the latest product launch. Today, those same stores are quiet. Foot traffic is down to a trickle. The big luxury brands like LVMH and Gucci are reporting falling sales in China. The era of extravagant, conspicuous consumption seems to be coming to an end. What has replaced it is a new kind of consumerism, one driven by practicality and the search for small, affordable joys. People are no longer willing to spend a fortune on a logo. Instead, they're looking for value and a little bit of emotional comfort. This isn't about giving up on life's pleasures entirely, it's about redefining what those pleasures are. Instead of a designer coat, people are looking for a warm, well-made jacket from a discount store. Instead of a five-star restaurant, they're discovering the joy of a delicious, cheap bowl of street noodles. It's a shift from aspiration to reality. This change is about more than just saving money. It's a psychological shift. In times of stress and uncertainty, people crave things that make them feel good, even for a moment. This has given rise to what some call the small pleasures economy. It's the simple happiness of buying a cute figurine from a blind box, or the satisfaction of finding a great bargain on a household item. These purchases don't offer status, but they provide a small, immediate hit of happiness, a brief escape from the daily grind and financial worries. They are a way to feel some control and experience a little bit of joy in a world that feels increasingly out of control. So the dream of luxury is being replaced by the hunt for comfort. The focus is shifting from impressing others to soothing oneself. People are realizing that a $1,000 handbag doesn't pay the rent or ease the anxiety of a precarious job. A warm cup of milk tea, a fun little toy, or a good deal on groceries. These are the things that bring a tangible sense of satisfaction now. It's a more humble, more honest way of living, born out of necessity but also perhaps leading to a more grounded sense of what truly matters in life. To understand this new consumer landscape, you just need to look at which stores are thriving and which are not. The contrast is stark. While Prada has been closing stores across the mainland, discount retailers are celebrating record-breaking success. When Costco opened its new store in Shenzhen, it sold 140,000 memberships in a single day. People lined up for hours, not for luxury goods, but for bulk packages of toilet paper, rotisserie chickens, and affordable electronics. This is the new reality. Value is king. People are willing to travel and wait in line for the chance to save money on the necessities of life. Another winner in this new economy is Miniso. Their stores are everywhere, filled with brightly lit shelves of affordable, well-designed products. You can buy everything from cute stationery and cozy slippers to headphones and makeup, all for a very low price. In the first quarter of 2025, their revenue jumped by nearly 20%. Miniso has tapped directly into the modern consumer's mindset. Their products offer a sense of style and fun without the financial guilt. A young person can walk in with very little money and walk out with something that brightens their day, a small reward for their hard work. Then there is the phenomenon of Pop Mart and its blind boxes. These little collectible toys have become a cultural sensation, especially among young people. Each box contains a surprise figurine, and the thrill of not knowing what you'll get is a powerful draw. For a small amount of money, you get a moment of excitement and a cute object to display. It's a low-cost, low-risk way to treat yourself. During the May Day holiday, pop-up shops in malls drew hundreds of thousands of visitors. This isn't about acquiring valuable assets, it's about collecting small moments of happiness in an increasingly stressful world. These three examples, Costco, Miniso, and Pop Mart, tell a clear story. The market for aspirational luxury is shrinking, while the market for affordable necessities and emotional comforts is booming. People are making rational choices based on their new economic reality. They are prioritizing their budgets, but they haven't given up on the desire for a good life. They are just finding it in different places. The shopping bag of the average Shanghai resident today is more likely to contain a bargain from a warehouse club or a cheerful trinket than a designer label. It's a reflection of a city that is becoming more pragmatic and less glamorous. For decades, the story of China was one of people flocking to the big cities. Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, these were the places where dreams were made. They offered jobs, opportunities, and a chance at a better life. But now, for the first time in a long time, that tide is turning. Despite efforts to attract more talent by making it easier to get a city residence permit, or hukou, the total number of people living in these megacities is starting to fall. In 2024, Shanghai's population actually declined by over 70,000 people, as hundreds of thousands of migrant workers packed their bags and left. Why are they leaving? The answer is simple. The dream has soured. The city that once promised opportunity now feels like a trap. Young people in particular are feeling disillusioned. They arrive with high hopes, only to be confronted with insane housing costs, intense competition for jobs that don't pay enough, and a work culture that demands everything from them. They see themselves as cogs in a giant meat grinder that will use them up and spit them out. The cost of living is simply too high for the opportunities that are left. The balance has tipped, and for many, it no longer makes sense to stay. This isn't just about young, single workers. Families who have lived in Shanghai for years are also making the difficult decision to leave. I know a couple who had been in the city for over a decade. They had good jobs and a young child, but the pressure of their mortgage, combined with pay cuts at work, became unbearable. They realized they were working constantly just to afford a life that gave them no time to actually live. So they sold their apartment, packed up their lives, and moved back to their smaller hometown. They told me it was like they could finally breathe again. This exodus represents a profound shift in thinking. The belief that big city life is superior is crumbling. People are starting to see the value in returning to their roots, to smaller towns where life is slower, cheaper, and more connected to family and community. They are choosing a smaller home they can actually afford over a tiny, expensive apartment in the sky. They are choosing more time with their children over the prestige of a Shanghai address. The bright lights of the big city are starting to look less like a beacon of hope and more like a warning sign. Behind all the economic data and market trends, there is a deep human cost to this urban divide. The constant financial pressure is taking a toll on people's mental health, their relationships, and their fundamental dreams for the future. The stress is a constant companion. It's the worry that keeps you up at night, the anxiety that gnaws at you during the day. It's the feeling of being a failure because you can't keep up, even though you are working as hard as you can. This emotional burden is heavy, and it is changing the very fabric of our society. Relationships are being strained to the breaking point. For young people, the idea of finding a partner, buying a house, and starting a family in a city like Shanghai feels like a fantasy. How can you think about marriage when you can barely afford your own rent? The economic barriers are so high that they prevent people from forming the basic human connections that build a life. It's no surprise that many young people are delaying marriage or deciding not to have children at all. The future feels too uncertain to bring another person into it. Even for those who are already married, the pressure is immense. Money is one of the biggest sources of conflict in any relationship, and when every penny counts, the arguments become more frequent and more bitter. Marriages that were once built on love and companionship are being tested by debt and financial insecurity. Some people are starting to see marriage in more transactional terms, a partnership for survival rather than a romantic union. Sadly, as financial stability crumbles, the number of divorces is on the rise. The dream of building a life together is falling apart under the weight of economic hardship. Ultimately, what is being lost is hope. The dream of social mobility, the idea that you can start with nothing and build a better life for your children through hard work, was the engine that powered this city for a generation. Now that engine is sputtering. People look at the vast gap between the rich and the poor and see an obstacle that cannot be overcome. They feel stuck, with no clear path forward. This isn't just an economic crisis, it's a crisis of the spirit. It's the slow, painful death of the Shanghai dream for the ordinary person. As we stand here today, on this day in July 2025, Shanghai feels like a city holding its breath. The dazzling skyline still projects an image of power and modernity, a testament to decades of incredible growth. But on the streets below, in the hearts and minds of its people, a different story is unfolding. It is a story of division, of struggle, and of quiet retreat. The city is becoming a place of two worlds, drifting further apart with each passing day. One world is for the wealthy, a playground of luxury and security. The other is for everyone else, a landscape of anxiety and shrinking possibilities. This divide is not just a temporary problem. It feels like a fundamental shift in the city's identity. Shanghai was built on the energy and ambition of millions who came here seeking opportunity. It thrived because it offered a promise, however difficult, that hard work could lead to a better life. But as that promise fades, the city's soul is being hollowed out. When people no longer believe they can build a future here, they stop investing their hopes and dreams in the city. They become transient residents just passing through, their eyes already fixed on the exit. What does the future hold for a city like this? If the middle class continues to be squeezed and the young and ambitious continue to leave, who will be left to power its economy and innovate for the future? A city cannot thrive on the wealth of a tiny elite alone. It needs a broad, stable, and hopeful population to sustain it. The current trend of rising costs, falling incomes, and a widening wealth gap is not sustainable. It creates a society that is unstable, unhappy, and ultimately unproductive. The long shadows cast by the skyscrapers are beginning to cover more and more of the city. Looking ahead, it is hard to feel optimistic. The forces creating this divide are large and complex, and there are no easy solutions. For the ordinary people living through it, the future feels uncertain and fraught with worry. They will continue to adapt, as they always have. They will find joy in smaller things, they will lean on their families, and they will make tough choices about where to build their lives. But Shanghai itself is at a crossroads. It must decide if it wants to be a city for all its people or just a beautiful glittering mirage that keeps the dreams of the many forever out of reach.